Let's go.
Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1811, and welcome back, Nicole. Woo-hoo! How
Thanks.
are you?
I'm good. I missed a month, but I'm glad that I am back.
We have missed you on this, I have to say, because we love getting all your little tidbits and on keeping healthy and stuff. And I've got sliced watermelon in the refrigerator. I mean, we're in triple digits here in Fahrenheit in Surprise, Arizona. So that watermelon comes in really handy for helping give you that boost in the afternoon with the hydration as well. And I'm having like 3 to 4 of these a day, and this is 40 ounces. So I'm having 3 to 4 of these a day, and I'm putting a pinch of salt, mineral salt in there, and keeping my electrolytes up. And so all those little tips that you've given us over the months and things have been flooding back in and coming in very handy this summer.
There you go. That's good.
But we've missed them. But tonight we're not talking about any of that. Well, maybe we will. I don't know.
You never know where our calls go. Tonight we are talking about chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
I asked Helen what she wanted to talk about, and she's like, chronic fatigue. I'm like, sure, let's talk about chronic fatigue.
Well, I remember it came up on one of our podcasts one time in discussion, and we said, let's do that next month, and we never did. So I thought, well, this would be a good time to do it.
There you go.
Yeah. So what is chronic fatigue? How can we tell if we have it, and what can we do about it?
That is a great question. So what is chronic fatigue? So oftentimes people feel tired, and there's a difference between feeling tired and feeling really fatigued. And fatigue is really, it affects about 17 to 24 million people each year.
Wow.
Yes. So it's the feeling of feeling like this ongoing feeling of feeling tired, feeling unrefreshed, even after you're sleeping, having symptoms after you've done some physical activity. There's all kinds of things. Brain fog happens when you're fatigued. Pain happens when you're fatigued. There are so many things that contribute to being fatigued. So when I just want to kind of go backwards. So it's interesting when we do these shows, sometimes, I go through and I do a lot of research. On this one, Helen said, do you want to do this? I'm like, sure, let's go. So let me tell you a little story. So when I was in my 20s, that was a while ago. Let's face it, this was a while ago. I was exhausted. I was plain flat exhausted. And I went to my doctor and I said, I'm tired every day. I push myself. I go to work. I'm taking care of these kids. I'm doing all the things. And he said, oh, well, you're a mom. Moms are tired. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not just tired. Like, I am exhausted. Like, I have no energy. I wake up exhausted. I go to bed exhausted. I am exhausted at 9 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just exhausted. And he said, oh, well, you probably have some chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS. That was a big thing back then. And he says, and, with moms, I just tell them to get some sleep. And it really takes a mental toll on you. So let me give you some Prozac.
That was fast.
Mm-hmm. That's how fast this was. This happens to women.
That's fine. Let me give you some pills.
Hello. Men get chronic fatigue syndrome as well. It's just more prominent in women. And so I was like, what the heck? So let me fast forward 10 years later. They're like, oh, you have Epstein-Barr. And Epstein-Barr is a virus and it can make you extremely tired. And so I was like, well, how do you get rid of that? Well, it's a virus. There's not much we can do about it. But guess what? Here's some Prozac and it will help you with some mental clarity and you'll feel better. Well, screw that. I'm not taking Prozac because I'm tired. That's my mental health is important. Of course, and mental health is extremely important. And I am exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 10 years later, I still have this off and on, like literally, I am exhausted at times. And my body's exhausted. I can't hold my eyes open in the afternoon at this point. And I go to this new GP and I tell him all these things. And he says, oh, honey, you have fibromyalgia. Here's some gabapentin.
So now you're on to your third diagnosis of the same symptom.
Yeah. Every 10 years, they gave me a new diagnosis, basically saying women are crazy. And, here's some gabapentin, or you can have some Prozac and it will make you feel better. So whoever is listening to this, let me tell you, taking drugs for mental health is not going to help you overcome chronic fatigue. All right. So when I look at blood work, I can often see why people are exhausted. And so oftentimes it's hidden little things that people don't even realize. Yes, there can be an underlying viral infection that's going undetected by a doctor. So that's the first thing, is looking to see, is there a viral infection? Is there something going on with your lymphocytes? Is there something going on with your monocytes that doctors just aren't looking at? That is usually the number one source of having this chronic fatigue. The second thing we could look at is, are you methylating your vitamins? So are you actually absorbing your vitamin Bs?
Okay,
So
that's what methylating meant, because I was having all sorts of other thoughts go through my head on that one.
Right. So are we actually absorbing the B vitamins that we're consuming in our body, whether it's through a supplement or through, food? So are we absorbing those B vitamins? And if we aren't, why aren't we? So about 35 to 40% have a gene called the MTHFR gene. You might see this on Facebook or on Instagram, or there's all kinds of people advertising about what this is. It really is a gene mutation that doesn't allow you to absorb your B vitamins. So you need to take methylated B vitamins and open up those methylation pathways so you can actually absorb your B vitamins. So that's the second thing we look at. Is this a methylation issue? Is this an underlying virus? Because viruses will make you exhausted. And, in the last 4 years, we've had a lot of the C word. And so going around, that is a virus. Viruses can make you extremely tired. And so those are some of the things that on the blood work side of things, on the functional side, that we look at. The other thing we look at is, are your adrenal glands really fatigued and tired? Are you getting enough? Are you actually getting enough electrolytes into your system as well? And we can actually see that on blood work as well. And oftentimes doctors just kind of say, oh, your blood work's normal or whatever, and you're not really looking for those types of things. So when we look at sodium and potassium in your blood work, that will tell us if you are having some adrenal fatigue, which will cause exhaustion. So oftentimes that is one of the reasons why we have this chronic fatigue, where we can't keep our eyes open at 2 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And lastly, the last reason is because we have these cortisol crashes. So we have stress. Stress will raise our cortisol levels, right? When our cortisol levels raise, these are the people that are usually up from like 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning. They wake up and they can't go back to sleep for a couple of hours. And then they finally go back to sleep. Or it might be a person, this was me, where I would sleep for 2 hours. I'd be up for 2 hours. I'd sleep for 2 hours. I'd go back to sleep for 2 hours. So I never got a full night's sleep for the longest time, which meant my cortisol levels were spiking in the middle of the night. And so when that cortisol goes up, you literally can't stay awake. And guess what? When you're not getting 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, the older you are, the you kind of revert going back to a teenager where you need more sleep. And so, which is kind of interesting as well. And so Dylan's like, what? And so our circadian rhythms change the older we get, and they kind of revert back. As teenagers, they'll say, oh, teenagers need a lot of sleep. There are some teenagers that need 12, 13, 14 hours of sleep. And so my mother never let me have those times. Like, we had to be up at it. Like, if you weren't up by 8 o'clock, you were lazy. Some parents are like, let the teenager sleep. I don't want to deal with the teenager. They're cranky. Let them sleep. That's actually the smart parent, actually letting them sleep, because they actually need the sleep. But as we get older, as we start aging, when we hit 50, 60, 70 years old, you'll notice that you do need that longer sleep. So I have spent the last year doing an experiment on myself. And what that experiment was actually listening to my body and going to bed when I am tired. So now it's easier for me to do because I do not have kids at home anymore. Like I said, when you're older, so if you're 50 plus and you don't have kids at home anymore, this is a great thing to do, is listen to your body of when it says it's tired. Don't watch that extra 30 minutes of a show or force yourself to read or whatever. It's time to go to sleep. And we like to sleep like bears. So most people like it cool and they like it dark. We need a cave to sleep in and get that good restful sleep.
I love
So,
cool caves.
so get into your cave, make sure it's cool, make sure it's dark, make sure that you've had hydration before you go to sleep. And eating a piece of protein before you go to bed will help those cortisol spikes. So you're not spiking so much with those sugars going up in the middle of the night. So eating a piece of protein prior to going to bed is actually a great snack. Instead of ice cream, eat a Chomp's beef stick or eat a little piece of chicken. Or I used to make mini hamburgers.
Hard-boiled egg.
Hard-boiled egg. I used to make like what I called mini hamburgers. They were just like a couple of bites. And so instead of making just 3 or 4 hamburgers out of a pound of meat, I would make a bunch of mini hamburgers and then I would eat one of those before I went to bed sometimes. So, because I had to learn how to sleep. And so listening to your body of when it needs to sleep is so important. And then learning what you naturally wake up at. Which is a big thing, not waking up to an alarm. It's really such an important thing and will help you overcome some of the stresses that cause that adrenal fatigue and that exhaustion. So, like, really, I set my alarm for 7:35. Do not ask why it's at such a weird time. I think I went to set it at 7:30 and I hit a little extra something. So my alarm goes off
at 5:07.
There you go. So mine goes off at 7:35. I'm going to say 90% of the time I am up and going before that.
Yep.
But what I learned is I used to work at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I did that for years. And so I became this super early bird person, not because that's who I was, it's that's who I had to become. And so I had to be there at a certain time. Being an entrepreneur, I get to set my own hours now, right? And a lot of people still are working from home ever since the pandemic happened. There's a lot of people that are able to work from home. And maybe, yes, they might have a meeting to hop into at 8, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. But if you have that opportunity, especially on the weekends, to allow your body to go to sleep when you're tired and to wake up naturally. So I've done this for over a year. I have now learned exactly what my circadian rhythm is. So I used to be the person, go to sleep for 2 hours, up for 2 hours, go to sleep for 2 hours, up for 2 hours. Like this was my natural, like it was terrible. This is not the way to sleep. I'd literally go to bed between 10 and 10:30 every night. And I will sleep till 6 or 6:30, often not even waking up to use the restroom anymore.
Nice.
Because my body has now adjusted to what my real circadian rhythm is. So if you have the opportunity to learn what your circadian rhythm is, it will definitely help you with the exhaustion during the day. So super important tip.
Well, in the middle of it's been summertime here where we're getting triple digits in the Fahrenheit, or over 40 degrees for those watching from New Zealand Celsius. I've got to get up early to walk her.
Yeah.
Because and most of the mornings we're going out there around 5:30, 6 o'clock, occasionally 6:30. But we're walking out there and it's like 80 degrees in the 80s, high 80s, low 90s already. And sometimes we have the humidity there too. So it's humidity in Arizona, and I prefer the rain type of humidity, not the other stuff. But it's because otherwise I'm usually awake by 5 o'clock anyway. And sometimes I'm not going to bed till like 10:30 at night. Okay, there's the weekend I didn't go to sleep till like 2:30 and I was awake at 5. It was crazy.
I understand. So there are some other things that can cause chronic fatigue. And that, excuse me. So some of those things could be, like, especially if you feel like you're running on fumes, is that adrenal fatigue. If your adrenal glands, and your adrenal gland, you guys, if you don't know, is right on top of your kidney. It's a little teeny gland right on top of your kidney. So you might be in adrenal fatigue. And you definitely might need some electrolytes and things to boost that up. The other thing is if you have any kind of low-grade inflammation, that can wreak havoc on energy levels. It can wreak havoc on your mood. It can wreak havoc on your overall well-being. And addressing those underlying causes of inflammation, and detoxing from any hidden and harmful like neurotoxins really can help you reclaim your energy and feel your best again. So we have so many neurotoxins that are in our environment, and they really do make an impact on our health. So a lot of people don't realize that. So, and inflammation, you guys, is just a natural response by your body to fight off an injury or infection. So people who have inflammation, they'll come to me and they'll say, my hands are swollen, my feet are swollen, my ankles are swollen, everything feels swollen, especially at the end of the night. You guys, that is a sure sign that you have an underlying infection. 9 out of 10 times, if you are exhausted and you are swelling, your body is swelling with this inflammation, oftentimes, like I said, that is a viral infection, the underlying viral infection. And it really becomes like what I call our silent enemy, honestly. So, here are some other culprits, just so you know. So these environmental toxins, they really affect our thyroid dysfunction as well. So lead, any kind of lead exposure, can just decrease our thyroid function in women. Glyphosate, it is a common herbicide that can
Isn't that what's in Roundup?
It's Roundup. So anything with wheat. So a good thing is if you are super tired, is to go gluten-free for 30 days. Take the gluten out of your life. Mercury, if you've had any mercury exposure, can really play a big thing in your.
My aunt had that years ago because she had fillings in her teeth.
Silver fillings. Now, when people sometimes will have them removed, you guys, if you are having, and I highly recommend getting any kind of silver out of your mouth. I was that kid that literally had. I don't know if you've ever seen a child or whatever that I had silver caps on my teeth back in the day. They don't do that anymore, but I was kind of a weird child. I was born with teeth.
Okay.
4 of them. And so they had to be capped because they had no calcium. They hadn't grown in correctly, but they didn't want me to lose my teeth because you need teeth, obviously, right? And so they capped them. That was their solution. So in all my school pictures, here I am smiling, and you see me with these 2 silver caps in my front teeth until they fell out. And so you could see those 2. The other 2 are in the back. So you really didn't see those as much. So any kind of mercury fillings, caps, they don't do caps like that anymore. But if you're older, like I am, you're over 50, there's, chance you might have had a silver cap or definitely silver fillings if you're over 40. You want to have this taken out, but you want to do it with a biological dentist. And you can actually look up biological dentist in your area, because that's who knows how to actually protect you from that mercury going even further into your brain and you absorbing even more toxins. So don't go to a regular dentist to have those out. Certain foods, processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy fats can trigger inflammation. Inflammation will, again, it's a cycle. It's that circle. The inflammation, obviously, if it's triggering it, there's an underlying something going on. And again, that will create you being chronically tired. And a big one is gut imbalance. I am so big, as you guys know, about having a healthy microbiome. But if you have an unhealthy gut microbiome, or you have an overgrowth of any bad bacteria, which is known as SIBO, again, it's going to contribute to that inflammation in your body, which is going to cause you to be extremely tired. And the other big one, you guys, and this is really super big, is that chronic stress can release all those inflammatory hormones, leading to fatigue and other health issues. So there's a lot of reasons why you can have chronic fatigue, but especially if you are if you are feeling like this, the first thing I would suggest is number one, taking the gluten out of your diet. Do it for 30
30
days.
days.
You can do anything for 30 days.
Yep.
You really can do anything for 30 days. Using some MCT oil. Don't do energy drinks. Energy drinks are just going to make you jittery and push you through the day. We don't want to push your systems through the day. So I would suggest maybe some MCT oil. Bulletproof is my favorite brand, but there's lots of brands out there. You can literally put MCT oil on a salad. You can sprinkle it on veggies. You can put it in a smoothie. You can put it in your coffee. You can do all kinds of things with MCT oil. It is made out of the coconut, which is kind of the part in between the brown rind and the white flesh. So it's kind of those fatty chain acids in between, but it will give you a natural boost of energy. So some days when I get tired, last night I broke my circadian rhythm and I only had 4 hours of sleep. Very unusual for me, but there are things in life that happen where we miss a night of sleep or we don't get as much as normal. So sure enough, I can promise you that I did a teaspoon of some MCT oil about 2 o'clock because I didn't want to have that afternoon brain fog and tiredness and feeling like I was going to fall asleep during this podcast tonight.
I went and took a 30-minute nap.
So, so there are things that we can do naturally to boost that. Getting sunlight in the morning is a big way to start boosting your energy levels as well. So morning sunlight is great for you. So if you can go outside even for a few minutes and get some of the sunlight. And the other thing that can really impact your whether you have chronic fatigue or you're just feeling tired is I'm going to go back to my old favorite and Helen's going to be like, you've got to sneak it in every podcast is your vitamin D levels. So people take advantage of our vitamin D levels on a doctor scale range from 32 to 100. You guys, I can promise you that you are not going to feel your optimal best, and every cell in your body needs vitamin D, and we're talking D3, okay? Every cell in your body needs this, and so to run its optimal best. And so even though it's summertime, we think that we're getting in enough D, but most of us are not. So taking a D3 supplement is super important. It has K2 in it. So we want to get that into your system. And you really optimal range for your vitamin D when they do, it's called OH, 25 OH vitamin D3 is what they test for. And you really want that range to be between 80 and 100. That is when we know that people are feeling their optimal best. So here's the other thing. If you have low calcium, that means you need vitamin D. And so it doesn't mean you take a calcium supplement. It means you bump up your D. D helps create calcium. So you want to make sure that you keep your vitamin D levels high. And if you don't know what they are, you can certainly ask your doctor to run D. Unfortunately, there's an article that went through the National Institute of Health recently that says, guess what? We don't need to test our vitamin D. There's no reason for doctors to run a test of vitamin D. But most people.
What was their reasoning behind that?
It's just obsolete. It really doesn't make a difference. Like literally, that's what their whole thing. So,
considering the fact that most doctors, when they go to medical school, all they learn about nutrition is how to spell it.
Exactly. They get about 6 hours of. They could literally get about 6 hours of nutrition courses in their 12 years of education. And so this whole thing of it's a waste of money to run vitamin D test is absolutely the most ridiculous thing that I have seen in a long time. And this just came out within the last short period of time. But I can promise you that vitamin D, every cell in your body needs it to run its optimal best. And without it, you are going to be tired and you're going to be exhausted. And so, pump up your vitamin D, use good oils to keep your cells happy, get a good night's sleep, start listening to your body. If you're really super tired and it's been going on for a month or two, I'm happy to look at your blood work and let you know if you have an underlying viral infection, because that's often the case. And here's the thing, we can take care of that pretty easily. So that's something that can that one's an easy one. So of all the things that I see, an underlying viral or bacterial infection is usually something pretty easily for us to help you with. Taking care of your gut, eating healthy foods, less sugar, less processes, all of that plays into chronic fatigue, and eliminating the toxins in your house. So one of the things, we can't control the toxins outside of our environment, but I was going to say something I probably shouldn't have. We sure can. Should I say what I was going to say?
Or why not?
You sure shouldn't can control what you eat in your own kitchen.
Love it.
So Kellen put a thing on the banner below that says, get 5 tips to create a toxic-free kitchen. And you can go to helpyougethealthy.com and put in your email address, and it will send you a little ebook on how to start getting rid of those toxins in your kitchen. You can do the same thing in your bathroom, throughout your house, your car, all of those things, but start taking the toxins out of your life, and that will definitely help give you more energy.
Excellent. I love all of those things. And when you were talking about the adrenal glands, it started to remind me that because I'm warm-blooded, I can't take things like ginkgo or ginseng. And there's a doTERRA product called Mitomax 2 that has both of those in it. But they recommend that if you have adrenal fatigue, you take those. And I take them at night and it knocks me out. And they said that can help your adrenal fatigue if you have that. So
the other thing you can do if you have some adrenal fatigue is, in your water, sprinkle some Himalayan salt or some sea salt in it. That will give you some natural minerals. Taking a good mineral product. You guys do not go up and to Costco or to CVS and buy supplements. Get with your chiropractor or naturopath, somebody like me, a professional who can get you professional grade supplements that do not have fillers in them. You would be astounded of what's actually in the stores. But getting those good minerals into you is great. There's also a company called Trace Minerals. Trace Minerals is a great company. Used to have an affiliate link with them. They don't do affiliates like they used to, like they do, but you can look up Trace Minerals. You can buy them on Amazon. You can go to their website, and it's www.traceminerals.com. And I'm looking for a product on here. It's one of my favorite products. Let me look this up. It is called, the regular Trace Mineral Drops are great because you can get them in the small size or the bigger size, and it will help you get those minerals into your body. But they also have, I'm actually looking for the name. Oh, Zero Light. Here we go. Zero Light is a great electrolyte that you can take. It's called Zero Light. I get nothing out of this, you guys, but it's called Zero Light Electrolyte Drink Mix. My favorite is the watermelon. There is 1,000 milligrams of sodium. There's potassium in here. There's magnesium. It's just such a great product, and there's not a lot of fillers in here. So there is a total of 5 calories. I just pulled it up. Magnesium is magnesium citrate. There are 4 different types of magnesium, if you don't know. It's 80 milligrams. Chloride from sea salt is 1,500 milligrams. Sodium from sea salt is 1,000 milligrams. Potassium is 500 milligrams. And then there's some trace minerals, and there's some coconut water powder. So this actually is
water.
Here, is it what?
Coconut water powder?
Uh-huh.
Will you just add water to make water?
Pretty much.
I'm sorry, that one just...
I know. It's their flavoring. So it's just their flavoring. Helen, I'm going to put this in our chat here, and you can post it for them. This is just a great product, you guys. And so that gives you the extra natural electrolytes that you need. Personally, I like a little flavor now and again. So there you go. It's a good way to have a little bit of flavor. But I also carry their Trace Minerals in just a little bottle of it in my purse, so I always have that. And when I'm home, I always sprinkle a little bit of sea salt in my water. You don't want it to taste, well, like you're swimming out in the ocean. But
Just a little sprinkle.
just a little sprinkle. It's just a little dash. And so that was
a dash, not a smidgen. Okay, I'll make sure I use the dash spoon instead of the smidgen. I actually have measuring spoons that says pinch, dash, and smidgen on them.
There you go. I love it. So
they're all smaller than a quarter teaspoon.
There you go. So there's some great tips for chronic fatigue. And if you really, really this has been going on for 2 or 3 months, and you do some of these little things and it's not making a difference, I would be happy to look at your blood work, read your blood work. Most people have blood work that the doctor orders once a year. If you don't, we can order it for you at cost. And let me tell you, this little thing gives us a story and tells us exactly what's going on with you.
Love it. Love it. I don't remember that. I actually know the last time I got my blood work tested was 2019.
That's okay. It gives us a story. I always tell people it gives us a story.
Yeah. That was the last time I had my blood work done. You can tell how often I go to the doctor. And it only went because I had a lump come up in my saliva gland. And it turned out to be a blockage, which apparently was life-threatening.
There you go.
So, yes.
Saliva stones are like kidney stones, you guys.
Yeah, the doctor told me, he says, here's some antibiotics that we're putting you on. He said, if it doesn't go down in 48 hours, he said, I want you to come into the urgent care here. And he says, and I don't care if it's Saturday, because it was Thursday at that time. I don't care if it's Saturday. He says, you ought to come in, because if you wait till Monday, you'll be dead.
Did you have saliva stones that came out? Or was it
no? It was just some. It wasn't stones. It was just some inflammation and swelling in there. And but what the funniest thing? They're going to laugh at this one. I was 53, 52. This was what, 5 years ago? Yes, 52. Yeah, somewhere at 52, 53. And they came in before they took me to get a CT scan, because of course the swelling didn't go down. So I went in on Saturday like they instructed, and they were going to, and the order was there if I came in that I had to have a CT scan done. So then the nurse comes in and says, oh, we need you to take a pregnancy test. I looked at her and I said, I am 53 years old and you want me to take a pregnancy test? Sorry, I was 52 at the time. I said, 52 years old, you want me to take a pregnancy test? She says, yes. I said, no. And she looks at me and goes, what do you mean no? I says, if I am pregnant, it is by immaculate conception. That's the only way that could have happened. And so she goes out to talk to the doctor. And so she didn't know what to do with that. So she goes out and talks to the doctor. And unfortunately for them, they put me in the room that was right by the nurse's station, so I could hear and they left the door open about this much, and I could hear their entire conversation. So the doctor comes in and she's all like, well, this is why we have to do it. And I says, okay. And I go onto my app and I go to their app for their medical records and stuff and pull out my blood work that was done the year before in 2018. And I go to them, I go, here's my fertility reading. And it's that number that's over the menopause number, which means I'm in postmenopause. So I'm not taking a pregnancy test. Your blood work proves that I can't get pregnant right now. And so she was like, let me go and pull that up. And 5 minutes later, I was off to CT without having a pregnancy test done.
That's so funny.
But they just found it was all swollen and everything else. Then they wanted to admit me into hospital to give me a 2-hour IV of antibiotics. I said, no, you are not admitting me into hospital.
There you go.
I did not see the point of being admitted into hospital overnight for a 2-hour infusion.
Yeah, it would take them 6 hours to get you admitted. So
on top of that, this was in February 2019. So it wasn't, it was over a year since Brett had passed, and I still had that stigma about I hated going into hospitals because he'd been in there for 87 days and all the stuff that we went through with that. And I said, and I explained this all to the doctor, and says, I am not going into hospital, and this is why. And 5 minutes later, they came in with all the IV stuff and got me all hooked up and gave me my antibiotics and then sent me on my way.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they just gave me that, and the swelling went down really quickly after that. So, but it was just inflammation of some infection of some sort, but it wasn't the stones. It definitely wasn't the stones.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. So,
I didn't realize how life-threatening a blocked saliva gland is.
Yeah, they can. Any kind of inflammation, anytime you have anything blocked, it can cause and create all kinds of havoc with our systems and cells. So we definitely want to keep all of those pathways open at all times.
But I do have to say, I was very thankful for my middle son and his wife came up the day that I had to go into the urgent care, and they made me homemade tomato basil soup in the Vitamix.
Nice.
It was really good.
There you go. Super easy.
Yeah, and it was all fresh ingredients. It was all fresh basil. It was fresh tomatoes. There was no cans of anything in there. It was fresh ingredients. And it was a really, really good soup. And it was just out of the Vitamix cookbook. So if you have a Vitamix and you got a cookbook, go look it up. They've got some great soups in there.
You can, and if you have a Blendtec, same thing. So just a powerful blender. You can actually look them up online now. You don't even have to have the little book that comes with it. So,
oh, I still like my little books.
I know, but I'm just saying a lot of.
But I do take my water. I got a mini watermelon the other day, and so I took it and I cut out all the watermelon and stuck it in my Vitamix and blended it, and then put it in my little jar, my little mason jars. So when I needed a drink of watermelon, needed to pick up, just go drink one of those, and I was good to go.
In my autoimmune group online, I actually had. I think I had posted a. Well, I didn't think. I know I posted a easy watermelon drink recipe, and I think you said you had just made some.
Yeah, so. I think I saw your recipe. It had like water and lime juice and the watermelon in there, and I'm like thinking, oh, I could have added that. I just threw the watermelon in there and blended it.
Yeah, 2 cups of watermelon cube. Remove the seeds, you guys. 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of fresh lime juice. Blend everything in the blender until smooth and pour over ice. Pretty easy, super refreshing. Definitely gets your watermelon, your water, helps you hydrate. And I'm just looking in here. And today is Prime Day. Today and tomorrow are Prime Days. So one of my favorite items, you guys, if you do not have one of these in your kitchen, one of my favorite things is a pressure cooker.
I love mine.
And so today they are the Instapot Duo, the 7-in-1 pressure cooker is 35% off. So it's $64.99. And I'm going to send you a link here as well.
They have some great, I tell you, Prime has some great deals on Prime days.
They do.
So I dream when they come around.
So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. There's a thing for an Instapot. If you guys don't have an Instapot, that is an amazing deal on an Instapot. As most of you know, I'm a big component of bone broth. I make bone broth every week. And so there you go.
You said it was 35% off? It
is 35% off. And I was like, oh, well, I don't need another one because I have quite a few. I have a few of them. And, that's a good deal. There's also a really good deal on a Blendtec blender. Blendtec is very similar to a Vitamix. It is, I forget how much they usually are. Sometimes they're upwards of $300, $400, $500 with Blendtecs. They have a high pitch. It's basically a high-powered kitchen blender, and that is on sale for $303, which is a great price.
Yeah, I know I've had my Vitamix since like 2000. It might be 1999.
I've had mine for so many years. So here I'm going to
stick. It was either 99 or 2000. I got the Vitamix. Got it at a home show. Yeah, where they did all those demo thingies with it.
I'll stick that in the message as well, so you can let your customers know. So those are 2 of my favorite kitchen items. My Blendtec Vitamix are great too, or an Instapot. So there you go.
Well, that's on a lightning deal. Oh, they've got all coupons now claimed.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
Copy that over to there. I'm just dropping this in there. There we go. Done. Fortunately, I can only put the chat messages on YouTube. I can't put them onto Facebook for some reason.
Huh. How about in the comments?
That is the comments.
Oh, and this is funny. I just looked up trace minerals. You can get 3.
Nicole's shopping for you guys on Amazon.
They have a Prime Day deal as well. Let me get you.
They do?
On trace minerals, yeah. Looks like it. $26. So here, let me give you a link for that too. I'm on a roll here. I'm just shopping for you while we're on this podcast. So, and as my coach would say, hey, where's your affiliate link? But they aren't doing affiliate links anymore. They booted me out of that program. So,
They did?
yeah, Trace Minerals changed how they do affiliates. So, but there
Oh.
you go. I sent it to you, Helen, so you can put it in for your people.
Mm-hmm.
But that Trace Minerals is fantastic. And that looks like it was on a good deal as well.
Cool.
Shopping for you for Prime. So Prime Day, I think
I love Amazon Prime Days. I also dread them too because I know I end up spending more than I should, but I'm being very good this one.
I was actually very good this one. I only bought things that were necessities. I didn't buy anything crazy this time. And that is perfectly fine. So, but
I got on some of their pre-sale deals.
I did buy garbage bags.
I have so many garbage. I don't even know how I ended up with as many garbage bags as I have.
There you go.
But I was looking at them the other day and going, dang, I'm not going to need any of them for a while.
There you go.
Oh, I got my a little countertop trash can for my bathroom, and I already had the bags. I already have the right size bags for those, so didn't need to even get those.
That's funny. Well, that way I can carry all my toxins out of my house.
That's one way of looking at it.
There you go.
Let me see if I've got my weed killer on there because I got a weed killer that is animal and human friendly.
Nice. There are some out there, so that's all good.
Yes, and it's one that you get the bottle and it makes up 8 gallons of weed killer.
There you go.
So.
All right. I think that's everything I can give you about chronic fatigue. Do you have any questions, Helen, or do any?
No, I think I got them all here. You should see my page and my page and notes looks like today. It's all over the place. I didn't even switch colored pens on this. But no, this is awesome, and I know electrolytes are important, and I like that eating the protein before bed. So I'm going to go make some hard-boiled eggs in my Instapot.
There you go.
I can do 12 eggs at a time in my Instapot to hard-boil them.
Hey, you know what I have? Speaking of eggs.
You've got Lucy, Flo, and
yeah,
Lucy, Flo, and Reba. Isn't that Lucy, Flo, and Reba?
I go out there and do the chicken dance in front of them every day, and they look at me like I'm ridiculous. But
is that to frighten the eggs out of them? Or to encourage them to lay?
That is me for just having Nicole silly fun because I think that's a big part of life. I go out there and I start doing the chicken dance. I'm like do 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 do, and I do the chicken dance in front of my chickens almost every day. And so, but they're bringing me lots of joy. I'm hoping I'm bringing them joy. I'm learning to like hold them and kind of snuggle and hug them, which sounds kind of funny, but I want them to be, know that they're loved and cared for and very welcome, because Dixie's not making them feel very welcome. Moose can care less about the chickens. The cats love looking at the chickens. So we have this outside patio for the cats, and it's this big cage. So no big prey or anything can get the cats. And so the cats like watching them. Dixie dog is like crazy. She thinks that they're dinner, or breakfast. And so she goes in the catio because the dogs can go in there too. It's big enough for them. I can stand up in it. So you guys, it's a pretty big room. And so Dixie is like, she wants them. She wants out. She wants to get to them. And then if she goes out the backyard, we have a fence on that side yard, so they can't get to the chickens. But we do have 3 new girls and super excited. So we have Reba. We have 3 redheads. So we have Reba, we have Wilma, and Wilma and Lucy. From I Love Lucy. So
it's Reba, Lucy, and Wilma. So Flo got renamed, huh?
And Sam will go out there and go, Wilma!
I love it.
So our neighbors probably think we're absolutely ridiculous because I'm out there doing chicken dances and he's out there saying, Wilma! And we will have fresh eggs within a couple months. So, on one of my episodes, I'll bring our eggs. I've decided I'm going to have a chicken egg laying contest. The girls don't know it yet. And so, because we have 3 different types of chickens and they lay 3 different types of eggs. So one of the breeds does the blue and green eggs. Another one of their breeds is brown eggs. And then the third breed actually does speckled eggs. So I told Sam, I'm going to tally them and see like who wins the contest. And then they'll get more chicken hugs or something. I don't know. So I don't know what the winner will get, but I'll get eggs, they'll get hugs. Everything is good.
I love it. Well, Nicole, it was great to have you back again this month. Missed you having you last month. So welcome back, and thank you again for all this great information on chronic fatigue, because I'm one of those people that sometimes in the middle of the day, like around 2:00 in the afternoon, I'll just fall asleep. Yeah. I'll be sitting here working. I have to tell you, if I'm sitting writing and I will fall asleep while I'm writing things, and I look back at my notes and I'm going, what the heck did I call? It's just a squiggly line that kind of goes down the page.
There you go. Well, know that there's lots of solutions. Start with the few that we started with. If that doesn't improve, then let me look at your blood work, and I'll be happy to let you or any of your guests know exactly what it is. And go in and grab that 5 tips to create that toxic-free kitchen. It will keep you up to date on things that are going on. And when we have blood work workshops and those type of things, you'll be able to come into those and learn how to read your own blood work. So I have
to say, I'm loving detoxing my kitchen.
I love it.
Yes, I've gotten my mason jars now. I've got glass bowls for storage, and just it's a slow process. It's just replacing things every now and again, and looking at stuff and taking stuff out of plastic that come in plastic bags and putting them into glass containers instead. It's making things so much nicer, especially when you go into the fridge and it's all organized with mason jars and glass containers, and you can see what's in there. But I'm off because we're about to, let's see, not time for a walk yet, but I'm going to go and I can do my hard-boiled eggs before I go.
Well, I need to feed my husband so he doesn't fall asleep.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.